Have you read the 14 points and is there any issue? Any question
No,
related
sir.
to that?
No,
Okay,
sir.
No, sir.
okay, fine. So now let's begin with our uh, the topic. What is topic of discussion today for roundtable conferences? Now, guys, you know that what was going on, and no, sorry, Allahabad address of Allama Iqbal. This we have to do, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This Allahabad address, Allama Iqbal, Rahmatullah alayh, chaired this meeting, presided this meeting. Now, this was annual session of Muslim League, a party's annual session meeting, chaired by Allama Iqbal. Now, I hope you know that Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal was one of the greatest poets, writer, philosopher, politician, a visionary. Um, he, mute your mic, please. He had a lot of dimensions. Uh, so we just can't discuss about Allama in this lesson because his poetry, his philosophy, his contribution were great. Like it was too big to be able to discuss in. But in nutshell, what we're gonna do is that we will see here Lama's main contribution to the Muslims of India, to the cause of Pakistan, separate homeland for them, and to the Muslim in general. So this is what we are going to discuss in brief, what I said. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Now, Allama Muhammad Iqbal, you might know as a poet. He was a great poet, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but his poetry was not a poetry of any other poet. He himself said that my poetry is a message. It's a great wisdom, a traya. It's Iqbal poetry is a message that guides people. It's a message that make people realize. So it is about awareness, about guidance, about who you are, and about where you should be heading towards, where you should be going, what you should be looking at. So this was Alama's like nutshell message. So through his poetry, you get guidance, you get awareness, you get self-realization, and you come to know that what's the destination. So through his poetry, he made the Muslim of India aware, number one. He convinced them of their distinct national feature. So Kalama was the supporter of two nation theory. Now, what's two nation theory? Can you tell me? What's two nation theory? Can you tell me?
Sir, that Muslims should have their own state and Hindus should have
India,
their.
India of the British control, and Muslims and Hindus have two major states for each other.
Two nation theory, listen to me, that in India, usually what we say that it's a one nation, a country, nation state. Pakistan, how many nations are living in Pakistan? One nation, that is called Pakistanis. We are all Pakistani. We may be from this region or that region. We may speak this language or that language. We may have different beliefs, but what unites us is that we are Pakistani, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but the case of India was different. All Indians were not a nation. They were not one nation. So, Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah or Allama Iqbal or Sir Syed Ahmad Khan or other leaders, what they emphasized upon? They said that in India there are two nations. That is called two nation theory. Simply, this phrase itself explains two nations. Now, who are they? Muslim and Hindus, right?
Yes, sir.
So they said,
Yes.
no, we are not one nation. They said, no, we are not one nation. We are not Hindus. We Hindu and Muslim can't be one nation. We are two nations. Or that's a two nation theory. Simply, had there been no this belief that in India there live two nations, there would have been no partition of India. Because partition happened only when there was this belief that you are a separate nation. When you are a separate nation, you will have a separate country. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So, what's the contribution of Allama Iqbal in this regard? Allama, through his poetry, explain, emphasize the distinct characteristic of Muslims. His poetry is message of Islam actually. Understand? So he emphasized, he made people realize that you are Muslim and this is who you are. So realize the importance and then rise above according to that. So he emphasized the distinct feature of Muslim nationhood. So number one. So on the basis of this, the two nation theory further improved and Muslims felt and realized that they are a separate nation and this is who they are. Number one. Secondly, why are we talking about this Allahabad address? What is Allahabad address? Mean speech made by Allama Iqbal in Allahabad in 1930. Are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Allahabad address in Urdu it's mentioned most of the time khutbah Allahabad mean the speech he made at Allahabad in 1930. Now why was this so special? Why? What was in it? Why is this here? Allama might have made many speeches in his lifetime. Allahabad address has a unique importance. And what was it? In 1930, for the first time, from Muslim League platform, from Muslim League platform, somebody talked about a separate homeland for the Muslims. Is it clear? So Allama in 1930 said, and he said that it appears to me to be the final destiny of the Muslim of India, at least of northwest Muslim of India, where we live today. This is in northwest. Pakistan is in the northwest of India. Is it clear to you?
Yes,
So,
sir.
so Allama back in time 1930 envisioned like people with higher intellect and caliber, they envision something what is going to happen. It's not for forecasting, it's not fortune telling, it's their vision. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So he was not sort of Najumi, what you people usually think somebody who will tell about what is going to happen to you. No, it was his vision. So he said that it appears to me to be the final destiny of the Muslim of India, at least of Northwest Muslim of India. And what is that? He said that these areas, mainly the four provinces which are part of Pakistan, they should be amalgamated, they should be put together to make an Islamic state. So 1930 he said, and that is why we call Allama Iqbal the one who dreamt of Pakistan, Musawwir Pakistan, you might have heard in Urdu, right?
Yes, sir.
That who imagined, who Musawwir mean the one who imagined, the one who dreamt of Pakistan, a separate homeland. So this is why this Allahabad address is very important. Now, I have told you two major things. One, that through his poetry, Allama highlighted the distinct characteristic of Muslim nationhood, and he made Indian Muslim realize that you are a separate nation on the basis of the two nation theory, that in India there live two nations. India was partition, right? And Muslim got a separate homeland. So Allama presented this idea also, that, and he said even in a very clear words, that this appears to me to be the final destiny of the Muslim of India, at least Northwest Muslim of India, to have a separate state. So that is why this Allahabad address is. Other than this, Allama Iqbal was the leader of the leaders. Have you understood this?
Yes, sir.
Leader of the leaders. And how that he inspired not the ordinary fellows, the common folks. He inspired the leaders, including Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah Rahmatullah. You know, once Qaid-e-Azam left India and he settled back in England, went to England. So it was Allama Iqbal who convinced Qaid-e-Azam. He wrote letters to Qaid-e-Azam, and then he met in person to Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah in London, in England. He met him and he convinced him that Muhammad Ali, you have to come back and you have to lead Muslim nation. I don't see any other who can do so. So Qaid-e-Azam came back and he took this whole task, and then led the Muslims of India towards a separate homeland, Pakistan. And in 1940, when Lahore Resolution was passed, we just celebrated, and we call it Pakistan Resolution. In 1940, Muslim League adopted the same idea of a separate homeland, which was presented by Allama Iqbal back in 1930. So 10 years ago, Allama Iqbal from the same Muslim League said that I see this, that Muslim of India to have a separate homeland. In 1940, Muslim League adopted it as its mission, resolution. When we say a resolution, it was their mission. What was the mission? In 1940, Muslim League decided that we want a separate homeland. Look, we've been working hard to live together. We tried our level best to work with Hindus, to work with Congress. We tried our best that there should be protection of the Muslims' rights within the Constitution of India. And if you guaranteed us this thing, we would have lived together. But what happened, that those all efforts by Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Muslim League, failed finally, right? And finally Muslim League believed that, look, our future is only secured if we go for a separate homeland. So 40, they adopted Lahore Resolution. And on this very day, Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah said, remembering Allama Iqbal, he said that had Allama been alive today, he would have been happy to see us doing what he wanted us to do. 1938, Allama Iqbal passed away. 1940, Lahore Resolution was passed. So, Qaid-e-Azam remember on this very day Allama Iqbal, because he said that this was Allama's mission, that Muslim to have a separate homeland. And today we have adopted this. So Allama would have been happy if he had been with us. So Allama's contribution was great. He was a multidimensional person. He had many aspects. He was a great philosopher, a great poet, a writer, politician, a visionary, a leader, you name it. So this is what was Allama Iqbal's contribution. I've highlighted some of the important features of it, right from convincing Muslim of their separate nationhood, making them realize of their importance. Okay, to number 2 point, talking about a separate homeland, presenting the idea of a separate homeland. 3, inspiring leaders and people alike to work for this goal. So this is like nutshell in connection to Pakistan movement. We can sum it up Allama's contribution. Otherwise, Allama's poetry is the message. It's a universal message. It's not for this year or that year, this century or that century. It is universal. Allama talks of a universal message in his poetry, and that is of guidance, realization, and of going wherever it takes you. Uh, Usually, people talk of you work hard and work hard and work hard, and then sky is the limit. Have you heard something like the similar? When you hear any motivational talk or video or other thing, so usually people say, okay, you got to work hard and use your time efficiently and have a plan and set goals, and then sky is the limit, right? Have you heard this thing, all of the motivational talks like?
Yes, sir.
But Alama says no, sky is not the limit. He says beyond skies, beyond stars, सितारों से आगे जहां और भी हैं. So Alama invites individuals and especially the Muslim youth, whom he called Shaheen. He invites them that no, look, these stars what appears on the horizon, on the sky, this is not the limit. This is not. Beyond that, सितारों से आगे जहां और भी. So this is all about Alama. I hope you followed and you have got some idea. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great. So I want who is there? Hassan, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Sitting so static. So I want you to read these 4 points, right?
Okay, sir. Allama Iqbal's contributions were exactly important to the Pakistan movement. He was the first Muslim leader to suggest partition of the subcontinent in keeping with the two-nation theory. He has therefore been called the father of the ideology of Pakistan. His views acted as an inspiration to many Muslims who were uncertain about how to defend their religion and culture. Iqbal gave them a clear-cut objective as he set out a goal for Muslims to work towards. Allama Iqbal was also the inspiration for other Muslim leaders. In 1933, Rahmat Ali's Pakistan scheme was built upon his ideas. They were also to be the basis of Jinnah's Pakistan Resolution in 1940. Iqbal's poetry was a source of inspiration for the Muslims of India. It kindled a sense,
Hindu.
kindled a sense of nationhood and motivated them to work hard to achieve their goal.
Okay, so this is also a very good summary of what we discussed, the importance or contribution of Alama. So go through this topic, read every one of you read individually, and at the end you will be asked a question, so you can write down this question. What was Alama's Allahabad address, or describe Alama's contribution? So these points you should know. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Yes, sir.
okay, boys. Now moving forward, the main issue at this point in time in India was future reforms, right? Future law, which was to be introduced by the British government. So this was point of discussion, whatever was going on in India at this point in time. Uh, is it clear? Do you know?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Complete silence. Am I audible?
I
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now look, I asked a very simple
your voice is lagging.
question. I said
But your voice is lagging.
that
Your voice is lagging.
in this point in time, in this point in time, I mean 1929, I think, let me say this thing. Obviously, there's ups and downs, maybe on your side. So, for a minute or two, have patience and continue. Is it clear? Can you hear me now clearly?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes. We can now hear you.
Okay. Now, my question was that at this point in time in India, 1930, I mean, the main topic of discussion, what was going on in India at this point in time was the uh, future reforms, the future constitution, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
all what we have discussed so far, be it Simon Commission, be it Nehru report, or this 14 points, these are all related to the future reforms. British wanted to Simon report, Nehru report, and Muslim League wanted Qaid Azam 14 points. So this is all was there going on. Zain Ahmed,
Yes, sir.
I mean, why are you just, I don't know. Just 1 second. Why are you floating? I mean, you are totally, it's quite disturbing. I see you when I look at monitor all the time. Did you notice the other guys? Have you noticed this thing? The screen is shared, everybody can see. So please sit somewhere that you uh, appears on the screen like Hassan. He seems to be static, a part of the background almost. So uh, stay and listen. Don't move around, jump around, because maybe when you move around, your image follows with maybe some second pause and all that. Anyways, listen to me. Main point of discussion, debate, what was going on in India, and all three major parties in India, they were all having different views, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Now
sir.
to solve this problem, and to move forward, and to agree that all communities could agree, British government suggested, British government came up with roundtable conferences. Now, what's roundtable conferences? Roundtable conferences where British invited Indian leadership, the leaders of the Indian leadership, Indian leaders, Muslim League, Congress, other parties, back to England to discuss with them. Is there any idea what were roundtable conferences? Invited British government invited the Indian leadership back to England to discuss about the future reforms, because all three now the differences. So it, hello, no response from your side.
Sir, because your
So
voice
your
is
voice
lagging.
is lagging.
First your voice comes and starts lag.
Okay, no problem. I repeat again. I repeat again. Okay, mute. Is our topic of discussion, next topic. And I said simply, what's roundtable conferences? Roundtable conferences were held by the British government, where British government invited Indian leadership, you can see Christian other, to discuss the future reforms. So it was again about the future reforms, right? Number one thing. But the British government now invited Indians to discuss, all of them to sit together, British and the Indian, and to agree on something that they can introduce in future. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So the problem is already identified. We've discussed that Hindu had their viewpoint, Muslim had their viewpoint, British had their viewpoint. Now all these three major parties had to agree on something which could be implemented, which could be introduced. So nutshell, roundtable conferences were another attempt at future reforms, future laws to agree on. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's go through and see. The first roundtable conference was held in England. Uh, Here, if you see the first roundtable conference, here we go. As you can see, in November 1930, the first roundtable conference. The first conference was held in London in November 1930. It was attended by the League, the representative of princely states. However, Congress refused to attend unless there was a guarantee that anything agreed at the conference would be implemented. No such guarantee was given. Instead of it was difficult for significant progress to be made in the talks in its absence. However, some advances were made. Now, very simple point here that British called this conference November 1930. Other participated. Congress was absent, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So Congress was absent. Why? Because Congress wanted that if whatever would be agreed in this conference, British will take it as binding. I mean, it will be necessary then, obligatory then on the British to implement as well. Why so? Because there was all this history. Congress was always complaining that though Indian were given representations on the councils, but real power was not given. Why? Because they could debate, discuss, but it was not a binding on the British to accept as well. So is this clear that what was said in this statement that if British government give guarantee that anything agreed on would be implemented, so now no such guarantee was given, so Congress did not join it. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And Congress was already on a non-cooperation movement, Salt March, 1930. So Nehru arrested, Gandhi arrested, Congress was banned. So Congress had no working relation with the British government, so they boycotted this conference because of non-cooperation movement and because that British government did not give any guarantee also accepted by the British. So Congress was absent, rest participated. So that's the intro part of the conference. Now what we see that what was achieved in this conference, was the successes. So can anyone read these 2 points, please?
The princes declared that they would join a future federation of India as long as their rights were recognized. The British agreed that representative government should be introduced at provincial level.
Okay, now guys, two points here. I will just break these points into small parts so you can understand very easily. Number one major point was that India to be a federation, future federation, that federal system of government will be introduced in India. Now, federal system of government we discussed already, a government at center followed by provincial governments. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, so they agreed that in India there should be a federal system of government. Second thing was that the princes. Now, who were the princes? Anyone? Please hurry up. Who were the princes? The princes agreed to join future federation. So, who were the princes? No idea? Now, listen to me carefully, everyone. Are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
listen.
Yes, sir.
Listen. Under British, what we call British India. I explained this point very clearly back in when we were talking of British expansion in India, when British were on the quest to occupy India. Now, those who fought against them and the territories which came under the direct control of the British, they were called provinces, British provinces, and for provinces we had assembly and we had chief minister and all that. So this was provinces. Now the other areas, those princely state rulers, India was basically uh, having a lot of princely states. Now, what princely states? Of those states which were ruled by their princes, Rajas, Maharajas, Khan, Malik, Nawab, etc. So this state belonged to them. There were many states in India like this. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
British India was basically consisted of two administrative units. One, the provinces. Provinces were part of the federation already. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Provinces, provinces were part of federation. Now, what the princes said, and princes, what was their system? They had an agreement with British government because they did not fight with the British when they were, expanding. Rather, they accepted themselves as the ruler and they became part of British India. They signed subsidiary alliances with them. That in return, British allowed that you will continue with your state, you will stay the ruler. Internally, you are free to govern your area with your traditional rules and regulation. You will be part of the British Empire and pay taxes and rest of the demands, whatever they were given by the British government. So, under the alliance, subsidiary alliances, princely state rulers or princes, in generally they were called, they were semi-autonomous areas, mean within the British India, under the British control, but internally independent. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So princes now declared that they can also join future federation because provinces were part of federation. This is federation like if we talk of Pakistan, so Islamabad, our provinces, all four provinces part of this federation. Okay. Kashmir is not part of our federation. Kashmir, the Azad Kashmir, what we call, which is with Pakistan, but it is not part of federation. You know this thing? Do you know?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
But
sir.
but now you know, if you didn't know, now you know that Kashmir, Azad Kashmir, is a semi-autonomous area within Pakistan. It has its own assembly, it has its own prime minister, it has its own president. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
So same like these princely state rulers, they having, I mean, internal independence, but part of British Empire. But they said that we can also join this federation. Why? How? That if their rights are recognized, they had special rights. And what special rights they had? That they were the ruler of their states, independent rulers within the British India. So they said if our special rights are recognized, we can also join the federation. This one point, India to be a federation, another point, and third point was that a representative government should be introduced at provincial level. Now, princely states were ruled by their princes, provinces ruled by whom? The chief ministers. And in provinces, we had the election system and assemblies, and then the chief minister or governor, provincial governor, like we have now even in Pakistan. It is not ruled by one person, it is through elections. We see that whosoever wins become the chief minister. So we are following almost the same system which was introduced back in time then we are talking about, and with the passage of time it developed. So what representative government mean, Ahmad Alam?
Sir, I'm laughing because of why.
One thing is that you continuously busy eating and drinking and something like it's not your break time. Even if you are at home, but still when we are in the class, we observe certain, manners, I would say. Is it clear? So you can drink water, there is no problem. But if we busy having meals and all other things, so that's not uh, acceptable. Is it clear? Okay, boy. So I will just end this class with the last point here. Representative government mean elected by the people. We have representative governments. Any government which come through election, any government which you elect, people elect, is a representative government. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, boys.
Yes, sir.
Now listen. Just one last thing. Listen to me. See your history files. I have shared notes of chapter number 8. Go through them, and then I will share the homework, the related homework of the chapter. You also complete that homework and check those notes. See you in the next class. Allah Hafiz. Take care, everyone.
Allah. Allah Hafiz, sir.
Allah
Officer.
Hafiz.